Hello people of YouTube, I'm here to bring you a very special video today. Well, not really, but anyways, I came up with an idea, a project I want to do. I want other people of YouTube, doesn't matter who you are, but I assume you have to play Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't have to, but if you want to, you know. Pretty much, this project, as you can probably tell by the title, is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Project Crossover. You're thinking, what on earth is he talking about? Right. I came with this idea when I was reading Harry Potter earlier. I was reading the 6th book, and I thought the bit where in the funeral, I was thinking, you know, when you're reading books and watching TV or whatever, playing games, you kind of get attached to the characters, but then as soon as it's over, there's no more, there's nothing else. So I thought, what more could you do? And I suppose that's where people get the idea of fan fiction from. Fair enough to them. I'm not really into that. But I thought, what if you imagine the whole, whatever world it is, whatever thing you like, you know, books you read, or movies you watch, games you play, whatever, even your own characters if you want, what if they were set in the world of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime? You know how in the anime there's weapons and violence and stuff, but most of it doesn't really solve anything, and they always have, to solve any problem, you have a card game. It's like a rule that all Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists abide by in the anime. I mean, even the bad ones, they don't really abide by them, but then they have shadow duels, so it doesn't really matter, because one way or another it's going to solve something. So I thought, what about if everyone had to solve their problems with duels? Now, if you have read the 6th book of Harry Potter, think back to the time when Dumbledore and Harry were getting the locket from the Pensieve. Imagine that as a duel. So Dumbledore's just given Harry his deck to say, you know, you said you were going to do everything I say, take this deck, and I've got to keep drinking. Now imagine him, the Pensieve is the duelist, and by Dumbledore drinking, that's him chipping away at his life points. Imagine Dumbledore keeps playing Sparks every turn, and this other person is just playing in those zombie things, whatever they're called, in theory, and just keeps summoning them, and that's all that the Pensieve is doing. So Harry is playing cards to just destroy them all. They're being magicians, wizards, whatever, they probably have a deck full of lots of powerful spells. So pretty much, while I've come here, this isn't a deck, this is just a basic idea of something to come. I thought, right, first one I'm going to do a Dumbledore deck. Now I think Dumbledore's deck, the way he does magic, he probably have lots of 1-for-1 destruction cards, like fissures and smashing grounds or whatever, to just get rid of, well, enemies I suppose, but in a way that's not really hurting them, you know, because Dumbledore doesn't like, you see where I'm coming from here, he's an honest kind of person, you know. He'd have cards to protect himself, swords, shrink, whatever, cards that are advantageous to him, but are kind of show off his good nature in a way. He'd also have really powerful spells like Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, Mage Power. Traps he would have would be all protective, like Slum Judgment, Mirror Force, whatever, Astral Barrier. This would kind of represent Gryffindor's sword, I've always thought. Light Force sword is kind of a heroic sword, and it kind of looks a bit like it as well. You can stop spells, stop dark things, stop attacks. And I've got this at the back to represent, I mean, the way I'm thinking of it, this would be pretty much like his Phoenix. Right, so all that aside, what is it? What am I expecting of people? Right, preferably in video response, but you can do it however you want. You can send me a message or leave a comment or whatever. But I pretty much want to see how far we can take Yu-Gi-Oh! Project Crossover. Pick a character you like, any character, any series, whatever you want. Make a deck for them. Imagine that their world revolved around dueling. Now you can make your own cards. I'd probably be better if you didn't go make an art type. You can if you want, it's up to you. But make a deck for this person. Use kind of cards that fit their personality, you know. Don't just think of what the cards do and what uses they'd have. Think of what the person would play. For example, say someone's running a deck that's theme is negating spells and traps, but they're a hero. They wouldn't run Dark Bribe, because that's a card that, like a, you know, someone who's evil, kind of sinister, who bribes people would run. So you got to think along those lines. But think of any character. It can be from anything you like, even your own thing, like I said. If you want to leave a video response, that'd be great. You can make the deck on whatever, in real life, on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, you can just do it in text if you want, you know, on Dian, whatever. I don't care. However you want to do it, it's up to you. But if you are going to leave a video response, it'd be better if it started with Yu-Gi-Oh! Project Crossover, just so I can find it easier. So yeah, pretty much. I'll probably make a better version of this at some point down the line, outlisting rules or whatever. They're not really rules, just make a deck for a person. Are you allowed to ban cards? Yes. Are you allowed to use as many cards as you want? Yes, I don't care. Whatever you want. It's going by anime rules here. They can use whatever cards they see fit. So whatever you want really. Just make a deck for your favourite characters, and you can do more than one. You can do as many as you like. You can make multiple decks for the same person. You can make, you know, multiple people make decks for them. Maybe their decks doesn't even have 40 cards in. Maybe they have 80. Maybe they have 20. I don't know. Whatever you want. There is no limits to deck building here. You don't have to abide by the regular rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! The only rules we're going by is that at least some of the cards in the deck have to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that already exist. Simple as that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Project Crossover. Sometime within this next week, I will make a proper Dumbledore deck with some of the cards he'd run. Like, for example, Dumbledore has the ability to, in Harry Potter, to use spells without saying anything, so the opponent doesn't know what he's doing. So I always figured that he'd have like a continuous spell that allows him to play spell cards from his deck once per turn, and your opponent cannot counter them except with counter traps. Because obviously if they're using counter traps, they're kind of like, they're the kind of people who would also maybe run this card, you know, they know what they're doing. So yeah, that's the way I see that. But, you know, obviously if we get enough cards, we can maybe duel some of the decks. Like, I could say someone build a Gauge deck from Borderlands 2 or something, or I don't know, that's the only thing that popped into my head then. You could make a Peter deck from the Hunger Games. I don't know. But we'll have duels against people from different series. I think it could be quite fun. But we're gonna need some people to actually make decks. You don't want to make a video? Fine, don't bother. Maybe write us a comment. But whatever you do, making a deck would be greatly appreciated. Let's see how far we can take Yu-Gi-Oh! Project Crossover. Signing off.